Welcome, friends. Golf rolls on. Yes, the Players' Championship is in the books. Augusta, only a couple weeks away. But you know what? The Valspar Championship takes center stage. March Madness does dwarf it, let's be honest. But you know what? Money to be made. We're going to recap the players. We're going to lick our wounds, some worse than others. But we're here at Odd Chopper Golf. You're here at Odd Chopper Golf, and that's all that matters. Want to welcome you guys in. If you're new, if you're checking it out, take a look around. This is part of the Odd Chopper family. If you don't know about Odd Chopper, oddchopper.com. We'll talk about that in a little bit. This is strictly golf, though. I'm Ben Rasa. Eytan Shander joins me, and let's start talking golf. And I want to talk to you because I didn't have much going on. My guys were not really in the hunt, but you did. You had some real sweats at Sawgrass, and like all sweats right now, they end because of Scotty Scheffler, who is just on another level.
Yeah, I don't know what to say at this point. I mean, if you just Ben, he's at least as good as Tiger Woods if he can putt. And I stand by that statement. Scotty, like, it is unfathomable. My dad and stepmom, 40 plus years, were here on Sunday, and we were all watching on mute, of course, because what are you doing watching golf? So I had to explain to them. I said, hey, we have a 50-1 Brian Harmon ticket. We have a 60-1 Wyndham Clark ticket. So I'm explaining to my stepmom how unfathomable it is that a guy like Scotty Scheffler simply neglects putts, like can't putt. Now, again, he's a professional. He's going to knock down a couple of birdies. Clearly, he knocked down 20 in order to get there. But the point being is he's still an average at best putter, and yet he's winning events with an S at the end of it, Ben. So tip your cap if you're Clark, although that was come on. Like, I watched that in super slow motion in real life. That hit every single inch of the cylinder before lipping out. It was awesome to sweat it out in the Discord. You lose to the best golfer on the planet, and what can you say at this point?
There's not that much to say, honestly. There really isn't. Scotty Scheffler is unbelievable. Now, two things can be true. He is at an insane level, and he still might be overvalued in future tournaments. Both of those things can be true, but there is nothing the guy is unreal. Yeah. And when he's in the tournament, he is going to be an overwhelming favorite for the near future. And I can't even argue with that, even in a sport like golf. But he's not in this field. And I'm kind of excited about Valspar for this reason. It gives us a chance to, the players. I'm not going to say if I knew Scotty Scheffler was going to win, I would have bet him. But I think both of us acknowledged right. You had some 50, 60-1 guys that got in the mix. There really wasn't anybody at like 300-1. It's such a deep, talented field. The Valspar is not like that, though. I think at first glance, and I want to get your thoughts, I think you're going to have some real randos on the board this week.
Yeah, I think the lack of star power, if you will, some bounce back / maybe buy low if you can in this field opportunities, and also just looking at guys where they get bumped up, right? Like, just I'll use your guy as an example. You want to scroll down. What's Bez right now? 50-1, something along those lines, 45-1 in that range. Right, yep. 50-1. That's not the case at Arnold Palmer, at Bay Hill. That's not the case last week at the Players. So I think a lot of that factors in with the field here, and there are going to be some sneakier spots. I agree, though. There are going to be guys on Sunday making a push, or maybe even in the lead, that we're looking at saying they are clearly taking advantage of two things. One, the field is not as dominant, clearly, and Innisbrook is a crowd favorite. It's definitely, we're getting out of Florida. This is the last weekend in Florida, but it seems to be a crowd favorite. You seem to have multiple guys of different skill sets appreciating this course, playing well at this course in their history. So I'm excited too, because it's not a throwaway by any means, this last leg, if you will, in Florida.
No, not at all. And you see, Taylor Moore, Shank, like guys, not to take shots at them, but you get some winners here. Now, Sam Burns had a ton of success and whatnot. It's a cool course. You got Copperhead, you got snakes, traps. You know how Florida does. Everyone's got an animal theme, but I do like this. before we get into the top of the board, for me, I'll get it out very quickly. I don't think there's a major skill set. Driving distance not important here. It looks
Nope.
like irons. You want to be able to navigate wind and weather, always pending. You never know. But it seems to me that you let your approaches do the talking here. You get dialed in, and if you roll it, you can win.
Absolutely. Bermuda, we know that as
Yep.
well. So guys that are going to be accustomed to putting on that, and I'm with you. You know, you're not going to get penalized off maybe miss hits or a lack of accuracy. I don't want to say being totally inaccurate off the tee, but you don't need to be as dialed in off the tee, at least over the last 2 weeks that we've seen. We're always going to have the threat, what have you, with Florida. It's not too far. It's a couple of miles, right, from where we just were at Sawgrass. I think ultimately, though, you look at longer irons and you look at being able to putt consistently on Bermuda and just kind of knowing that there's no real definitive formula here. And I don't think that's a bad thing, Ben. I think that also shows that, and I'm going to mention a couple of these guys, people who struggled as recent as last week are off the hook this week because of how different things are and how familiar and how much they like playing at Innisbrook. The
So
Copperhead.
where are we going? Yeah, where are we going at the top? Xander, he had his chances, no doubt. He took it like a champ. I respect him for saying, not that he blew it, but I'm gonna have to take some hate for that. And he had his opportunity and he got hunted down. Sam Burns, JT, Jordan Spieth, Tony Finau, Cam Young, Brian Harmon, your
Wow.
boy, Sunjay. Are you looking at someone sub 20 or are you starting with like Finau and Cam Young types on your card?
I have 3 guys on this page that I'm
Ooh,
going to look at, but only 2 that I can bet.
okay.
And first off, I can't take even in this field, Ben, and I know that the guy is playing incredible golf, and what he's doing with the putter is insane. But I cannot take Brian Harmon at 25-1. I almost feel guilty or bad or just dirty taking Brian Harmon. I love Brian Harmon, but I can't take him 25-1. Maybe, and I'm speaking in your world, maybe he's a one and done guy. Maybe he's a sneakier DFS type player, but I cannot bet him at 25-1. Let's start at the top. And it's not the tip top, but let's start at the top. Both of these guys, I think, are in a really good spot because if they played any better and made the cut last week, I doubt that they're sitting at 14-1. So I'm kind of in a split right now because in this field against, or I should say, in this tournament against this field, I like both Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth. I think last week is more of a misnomer. I don't want to push away the momentum that JT has, and the way in which Jordan Spieth is putting should not be ignored. I have to throw it back to you because I'm kind of split right down the middle with both of these guys being at the same number and racing to them. The other guy, Sungjae, and we should talk about him coming up in a little bit, but let's just start there with JT and Jordan.
JT's interesting, 12-1 on FanDuel, upwards of 14-1 on DraftKings. Again, we'll talk about Odd Chopper and what you can do there to quickly find this type of stuff. I am interested. So listen, it's never good to miss the cut. There's no doubt about that. That's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to miss it at Genesis either. But I was a little surprised when I dug into JT's numbers.
Yep.
He wasn't that bad at the players, and he was great on the approach. It was his short game that let him down completely. And you're going to get some wonky strokes gain data in Florida because you can drive it in the water. You can obviously approach shots can land in the water. You could chip it into the water. You could do a lot of weird stuff. But I'm going right back to JT. He's my first click in. I got to ask you, and he didn't win the tournament last week, even though he's my guy. Tony Finau played fine. He didn't threaten. I kind of want to stick with him because I agree. I don't love Harmon. I don't really want to take Cam Young. Sunjay, you mentioned, what do you think about Finau? Do you have any opinion on Finau?
It's not that I'm anti-Finau. I feel like I can get a better price on a guy like Sungjae at 25-1 with the anticipation that he is still this upward trajectory, right? You're right. Tony Finau, again, even in this field, I'm a little surprised that Finau is even 22-1, knowing that he didn't win last week. But as you mentioned, he played well. I'm
Fine.
surprised that he's not closer to maybe a 20-1 or even an 18. Like if you found 18-1 at another book, I would not be shocked or floored at that point. the thing about Sungjae is if you can do a lot of things right here, you will be rewarded. And I really think that there's something to being at all around golf. And Sungjae is not what he was. He's not back, I should say, to what he was. But this is a guy, again, if you want to go in the same momentum as we talked about, where last week is more outlier, more misnomer, what have you, I think Sungjae's trajectory is definitely pointing upwards. And I'm not going to trust, like Nick Taylor kind of fell apart. I'm not going to trust Min Woo, even though that number is greater. On the flip side, I think Sungjae is probably in a great spot at 25-1 or better. And it's not anti-Finau. It's just I'd rather trust Sungjae doing more things better if he's back. And I believe that because, again, Ben, if Sungjae is top 10 this week, moving forward, I don't think we'll get these type of numbers in a depreciated field.
No,
Although I'm
probably.
a little surprised about Tony. Sorry.
No, I think one of the things to note, Tony Finau really never plays here. I have a feeling that's impacting his number. If he was at Valspar year after year, knocking on the door, he wouldn't be in the 22-1 range. Sungjae, he's got some success here a little bit, and I do think that impacts him. He's still lost in 6 of 7 on the approach, which is shocking for Sungjae. He's a really good iron player traditionally, and I don't love to see that. Everything else is starting to come along. Needs to putt a little better. Not going to push back completely, but I think it's pretty wide open as we work down. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, you can call this the mid-range if you want. This is like, some of these guys were triple digits last week. And
Right.
you're now, the win equity is here for the Bez, Billy Ho, Hadwin types. Hadwin killed me last week. What is catching your eye, if anything, here?
So again, I know it's kind of similar here with Eric Cole and Bez and trying to just justify why once again we have to bet them. But I actually really do like Bez this week.
Come on
And
now.
there's another guy. I'm telling you, there's another guy that's even lower, which I have no idea how we've reached that point. Maybe you can help me out on that. But before we dip anymore, like I'm gonna have to look at a guy like Bez at 50-1. The way in which he's played overall, and I know that there are closer issues and whether or not he can win, but we're talking about the same thing on a larger level with Xander Schauffele, to be honest with you. So I don't look at it like it's this massive deterrent. I'm going to bet Eric Cole with hopes that he has not hit a massive roadblock or just this massive wall in the tour, which happens when you play so much golf last year. You come back, you play a shit ton of golf this year as well. It's going to happen. Florida, though, should be a little bit more familiar. I'm going to look at last week as an outlier for a lot of people. If Scotty were playing, maybe that's a different story, but I'm going to look at last week as an outlier for a lot of people. I think that's pretty much, before we even dive any lower, that's pretty much where I am right now. I'm not going to trust Nick Taylor was top 10 last year. I'm not going to trust guys like Keegan Bradley or Keith Mitchell because I don't need to this week when I can get someone like Bez or Cole, even Cole who struggled. But that's where I'm looking at with what you have on the page right now. Maybe a little crazier as we get deeper, but that's kind of where I am now.
Here we go. Done it before and I'm doing it again. Christian Bezuidenhout is 55-1. He gained 7 strokes on the approach last week. He has gained with the irons in 6 of 7. He has made 4 straight events with positive putting. He has lost off the tee if 6 and 7. But at Valspar, you can mask that. He is doing everything that I want, and this is a good number at 55-1. He has proven everything except winning. He's been as close as you can be. He's lost in the playoff. He's got a runner-up this year. He's been right there type style. I like Bez quite a bit this week. I'm sticking with my guy. Put him on the board. Straka, Patrick Rogers. I don't love this range, to be honest.
I don't. And look, it's something you brought up in the beginning of the show that we can continue to push as we go deeper on the board here. There's no need to force this.
No.
Look, DG at 70-1.
I knew you were going to bring him up.
But here's the thing about Doug Gim. Here's the thing. He is exactly like what we've talked about with Bez. He is this is a guy who was playing fantastic golf overall. And I don't know, 80-1? 80-1 for Doug. Ben, maybe I'm missing something because he's probably hemorrhaging strokes in one key area that's not necessarily key to this week. And I mean, again, 80-1. Did
Where
I
are you
read that
finding
right?
80? There's no
Oh,
80s.
I thought you just had it right there. Was I misreading the number
Yeah,
that you had on Odd Shopper?
Let me pull it back up. We're gonna talk about Odd Chopper in just a second. I didn't see an 80 though. Maybe it was there. No, 70. There's a 70 and there's some 60s.
70. Okay,
Yeah,
70-1. That's
and
why I was like, okay, 70.
okay,
But look at this. It's the same number as Maverick McNeely, who I think people are trying to will 75 there a little bit longer, but people are
still
trying to like will back in. Doug is gaining strokes
everywhere.
overall everywhere. And it's as good. Look, you're going to take Scotty Scheffler out of every conversation here, but he's playing as solid golf, you could argue, as anybody right now on the tour, at least consistently. I'm absolutely going to take him at this number.
5 straight top 20 finishes. I don't care where you're playing. You've had 5 straight top 20 finishes on
Come
the
on.
PGA Tour. You're playing some really good golf. Now, those finishes 13th, 12th, 8th, 16th, and 16th, that's fantastic consistency. When is he going to knock on the door fully? He's good enough to do it. Doug Gim's going to be a popular click this week. And I definitely think it's warranted. And I'm glad. I mean, there's no better time to mention, this is a small piece of the puzzle, but Odd Chopper allows you the ability just to quickly scroll and see. And we're adding really, really cool stuff over there. If you haven't seen some of these tools in action, the EV betting tools, the market-based approach. This is the type of stuff. I know you use it, Parlay Builder.
Sure.
Serious, serious business. And if you haven't heard, maybe you're not in tune with what's going on out there, it's March Madness week, and it doesn't get better than that. That means you can get Odd Chopper. And it's just let's not get crazy. We're doing this just for March Madness for a week for $1. It's on the screen right now.
Insane.
And it's not just college basketball. It's insane. It is. You get all the sports, all the tools, Discord, the entire package for $1. The link is below. You have to use the code MADNESS, and you obviously have to do it before the tournament starts. But you will get a full week. We're calling it a trial, but it's full access. We're confident that you're going to be wanting to stay and be part of this community. And if not, you got to check out everything, and we're happy to have you along for the ride, even if it's just for a week. So I know you're excited about this. I'm excited about this. If $1 is not in your range, then I honestly, you might not want to be betting sports, because this is as good as it gets. And we would love for you to say, you know what, I've been thinking about trying this. Now's the time. Come in for the week and see what you think.
Think about this, and people can let us know here below in the comments. What is cheaper right now after tax than $1? Not much. Like, think about this. Even that 69-cent or 89-cent burger or hot dog, whatever, after tax, you're paying over $1.
All right, hold on. This was not planned. I didn't want to derail the show with this offer, but what is did you just say an 80-cent burger? What does that mean? That's not a thing.
Have you ever driven from
You can stop right there. No. But keep going.
There is a place just on the other side of South Carolina called South of the Border. And it is like this rundown kind of, like an amusement park, what have you. And in there is a cafeteria that sells 39-cent burgers and like 69-cent hot dogs. And even with the tax, the applicable tax, you're paying more than what you would for a week of Odd Shopper. That's all I'm saying. And you feel better. Physically,
right, you're definitely going to feel better. Odd Chopper, as far as we know, doesn't block the arteries, nothing like that, not harmful to you. In fact, it's very good. It's very good at releasing endorphins because it knows what it's doing, and it's a great community, and you're going to see for yourself with that link below. But as we work down, mercifully, I got to ask you, there's a couple names here. One of them is a guy I honestly don't know the last time I bet him, and it's Victor Perez. Victor Perez is a name that caught my eye. Maybe it's because it's like, oh, he's triple digits, and that's cool to say. But he was 16th at the Classic, what I call the Honda, and he gained across the board. And this guy who's got experience, he was 12th at the PGA. I think that Victor Perez is the type of guy that could get in the mix here.
He was just at we talked about him. Was it Arnold Palmer where he was
He was at
pushing?
the Cognizant.
Cognizant, that's what it was. The ex Honda, right? And then the week
Exactly.
after was in the secondary event, Puerto Rican
Yeah,
Open,
he has
right?
not played in Florida
Correct.
since then, but he was good. He
Correct.
was
He
really
was
good.
good, and I think he was hovering at least, or I don't think he was a disaster and Puerto Rico by any means. So
Uh,
I think, look, you're really doing one of two things here. You're taking a shot on a guy who has probably played better than the current number compared to the field, or you're looking at somebody who does most likely one thing really well that's applicable to this course and going off of that. At 100 to 1, I don't even know if it matters at this point with Perez, but I don't hate it. Look, you're definitely drawing some sort of connection to what he did at Cognizant, which is the same local area here that we're talking about with dealing with Florida.
No doubt about it. Again, this is where I think you can open up your card quite a bit here. Joel Damon was good last week. I saw Berger's name, Kevin Yu, Glover. Keep an eye out. This is always a public service. We're filming this very early in the week. I think it is
Yep.
possible that some guys are not going to end up teeing it up in terms of they've got like Cantlay dropped out. We saw some people drop out early. So just make sure, you're going to get a void if you bet them, but it's always good to be on top of the field right now as we talk. I think everyone is good to go, but hit me with some of these. I know you've been on some of these long shots in our Discord. Is there anyone that you're sprinkling right off the bat here?
Well, last week I was on Lucas Glover and
The
he just fell
glove
apart. Yeah, the glove.
happens.
I don't hate. I mean, it would kind of go against everything we said, which is using last week as either negative correlation or just nothing at all right there. How about Ben Griffin? Ben Griffin has at least some course history here. Ben Griffin has at least some handle as far as Innisbrook and also just the Valspar. You want a guy that's just in that similar range that you can at least point to and say there's course history with him. I'll give me Ben Griffin without trying to reinvent any major wheel here.
So, not to, I don't want to overstate things because I don't want to get crazy, but Ben Griffin has to be on the short list of so far, and it's only a couple of events, of most disappointing Florida swing. He played
Yeah.
pretty well heading in. He had made 3 straight cuts going into the Classic, and there is no doubt in my mind that Ben Griffin, the best part of his game is suited for Florida. He's a Bermuda guy. This is where he really does his damage, and he has gone miscut at the Classic and the Players. That's pretty disappointing for him, and I'm not saying it's over. That's 4 rounds of golf, but this would be an important week for him. He's got to improve the ball striking because his around the green game is extremely good and his putting on Bermuda is extremely strong. Maybe can I interest you maybe in like a top 40 for him? Something like that, get back on track, make the weekend.
Yeah, actually, absolutely. You can, if that's out, usually those take,
Let's see
yeah.
top 20.
Top 20 has got to be 3 to 1, right?
You're
Maybe
getting
even
plus
longer.
360.
Yeah, that's fine for me,
I'm on
honestly.
board with that.
Yeah. I mean, look, you're going to get plus money for a top 40 play for him. So we can be honest that's not a bad play, but I'm with you. I think this is one of these where Ben Griffin is not good enough to slide in and hang at like top, like if he's making the cut, he's playing exceptionally well. And I think that's going to lend to a top 20. So 360 for a top 20, you got me. You got
Yeah.
me.
I'm I'm on board with that. And again, when we get tee times, things like that, matchups, we'll be hunting them down. And again, you can access it for $1 this week. Never get to say that again. It's all part of the same thing
Love
from
that.
building brackets and sliding a couple golf picks while you're at it. That never hurt anybody. Let's keep it going though, because I do want to actually look at the rest of the board because I think this week you can't just say, well, no one's winning at 150 to 1 because Sheamus is there.
Oh
Uh
yeah.
go
Sheamus
ahead.
power.
Hey, he made the cut. Where was your guy? not anywhere.
Neither one of my guys that I blurted out
Yeah.
last week made the cut. So what are we
Well,
tied now 2-2?
we are, and we're gonna get there in a second. I'll
Jeez,
be
look at
honest,
this. Look at
top
that.
20s, top 40s. This is pretty bad down here. I think
Oh
you can
my
look
God.
Jimmy Stanger, interesting name. Seamus, interesting name. Floor is yours if you have anybody, because I don't.
No, I mean, if you want to scroll down
Oh
a
Jesus,
little
what are you doing?
more, and before we get to like 250 or so, I mean, no,
This just feels unnecessary.
Molly, yeah, Dylan Wu, I'm kind of over here.
Aaron Wise, shout out to my guy. Uh, working
Wow, I
back
didn't know he was
from
playing.
I know Aaron. I mean, Aaron Wise is a mega talent. There's no
He is,
doubt.
but he's still coming back from massive, right?
Yeah, he had some issues. I think there was some, I think mental stuff with him. He took some
Yeah.
time off, and obviously hope just on a human level he's doing good. And I don't really have all the specifics, so I don't know what exactly was going on with him. But we haven't seen him a lot. He's one of my favorite golfers. I think you have to kind of take a wait and see. He stepped away for quite a while now, and I'm not ready to back him. I hope he plays great, but not a click for me.
Not your 200 to 1 or greater play this week?
No,
The
that's
wise man?
no, mine's I'll get to that right now. Ben Martin, Bermuda Benny. I look up on no joke, and I texted this to somebody. It was like Sunday afternoon. I'm getting ready for the selections show. And I'm like, well, Ben Martin was A, in the players' field apparently, and B, he's playing great. He's in 31st. That's where he finished. Who knew? My man, he's just quietly making cuts, doing his thing. He's gained 4 straight on the approach. He gained 4 strokes putting last week at the players. Does he have the talent, week in and week out to be a big factor? No, but he does have the talent at times to make some cuts and do some damage. So for our head-to-head matchup, where each week we have to choose someone that's at least 200 to 1, I'm going with Ben Martin. Who are you going with, or are you going to try to take like 3 guys like you did last week?
No, I'm gonna try to
Okay.
get this right here, but I'm gonna go Aaron Battley. He's another
Right
guy
next to him.
who he is. He's right there, and he's another guy who is gaining strokes on Bermuda, who's putting well. We've seen a handful of events on Bermuda from which Battley has performed well. So give me AB, same number, same mentality, attacking the greens more so than anything else. And unless you're Scotty Scheffler, that strategy should work.
Yeah, Badley does. I have no problem with that. Chat, you know the drill. I want to see in the comments, Badley or Bermuda Benny. Let us know whose side you're on here. But
What about Bermuda Battley? Why does that go to Benny? Battley's got to be in it.
That's alliteration, but it's no good. We don't want that. Don't put that in the comments. Aaron Badley's got an out, and I like that with I've said this for a really long time on the DFS side of things. I would rather have, and I'm interested to get your take on this before we bounce it out of here. I would rather have a golfer who does one thing to an elite level than have a guy who's just like subpar to average at everything. And
Yeah,
I would rather have someone like that, because you can lean on one skill set sometimes and it can carry you. And these guys obviously aren't going to do everything great. If they were, they wouldn't be 250 to 1.
The worse you get, or I guess farther you move from the top of the leaderboard, the more accurate I think you are. And not to say that you're inaccurate at the top of the leaderboard,
No,
but
but it's more important the further
absolutely.
down you get. I couldn't agree more.
You're not going to find 200 to 1 Sung J-Ms. Like, you're not going to
No.
find guys like that. But to your point, you can find specialists. And look, that's something we've been talking about. That's actually something that I'll apply. Well, I don't need to apply anymore on DFS because I just use our PGA Sims, which
Yeah,
is just
easy game
amazing.
now.
So I'm telling you, oh my God. But I used to when I had to think for myself. No, but that's I love that. I love the strategy. It's something that I think applies across the board whenever you're looking at a guy who's 100 to 1 and longer there. So yeah, no argument, no pushback. Absolutely. And I think we've both done that with putters here.
Yeah, you can just, because again, you're not going to find Sanjay Ims, but you can find guys where it's like, okay, they don't have any real weakness. They don't also have any real strength though. They're just like okay off the tee. decent with the irons. They're not terrible putters. Where's their out? I want the guy like Cam Champ. Cam Champ is a mess, but he does one or two things at a world class level. And when it clicks, he literally wins events because of that. And I do think I found some success in the betting markets. Again, you want to fully leverage with that type of strategy, but you can. Let's review. So we got our boys, Eric Cole and Bez, Doug Gim. I'm throwing in Victor Perez. And what else do we've got over here? We've got JT, certainly one of the favorites, but I do like him. I threw in Finau.
Spieth
Ben
too. You didn't
Griffin.
throw Spieth in there.
No, Spieth is
Well, you're
fine.
going JT, then I'm going Spieth.
Okay, you could put Spieth in there. We could do
Yeah.
that. And Ben
You're
Griffin.
anti-Spieth?
No,
I know
I'm
we
not
gotta go,
anti-Spieth.
but okay.
I'm not anti-Spieth. I'll say this. I'm not gonna have Spieth, Finau, and Sungjae on my
Yep.
card. I think maybe that's a little too much because I want JT. I don't want 4 up top. I'll probably choose 2 to 3. Maybe I'll roll some in matchups, and then I'll move to the Bez range and go from there.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm
Yeah,
Spieth and Sungjae. I chose my 2. So you have JT and Tony.
exactly. Last thing, I know we mentioned $1, and that is amazing. How about taking your $150 from BetMGM
Look at
and
that.
use
Look at
one of
that
it on
beautiful
that?
face.
5 into 150. Now, I said this before on my bracket show, which is available on OddsShopper. I'm going to be like the selection committee here. If you hear your state called, you've made it. And that is Arizona, Indiana, Iowa, North Carolina, New Jersey, Colorado, Louisiana, Ohio, Virginia, Kentucky. If you were fortunate enough to be selected by this committee, that means Bet365 is in your state. That means if you click the link and bet $5 win or lose, $1.50, not $1.50, $150 in bonus bets coming into your account. Use it on anything. Use it on March Madness. Use it on golf. All you got to be is 21 plus, 18 in Kentucky. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. But it's just a great time of the year to rack up some bonus bets. And then, like I said, hopefully join a community and really see if you can run it up.
Can I just say something real quick? I was down, as you know, in Virginia for a couple of days. And we have Bet360. Like I'm talking like I'm alone. We had Bet365, and I can't bet at Bet365 because I live in a ridiculous state that is Pennsylvania. Ben, I got in day 1, had my account, did the whole sign up stuff. It was there for 3 days, and I cleaned up. All I did was use OddsShopper. That's it. Like I just went to OddsShopper, say, okay, give me the best bets here. NBA, some NHL popped up. I walk out, withdrew a lot more than I put in, and it was all because OddsShopper. And I continue to let people know this, man. There's a reason why Bet365 is always popping up as one of the top 3 books to bet at, because there are soft spots in the market. I was amazed, not surprised, but amazed that I was able to walk away with a nice little stack.
And that was despite me giving you some questionable MMA takes.
I didn't bring that up.
But that's all right. I swear, hey, I'm not a judge, but if I was, I would have scored that quite differently, as would all the media cards. That's what we're going to leave you with here. Friends, we appreciate everybody at OddsShopper Golf. If you can help us out, hitting the like button, subscribe into this very channel, and spread the word. Become part of this community, and we'll see you inside the ropes. Again, it doesn't get any better than the madness that's going to happen. And for just $1, you can be part of it. But for me, for Eytan, and for all of us here at OddsShopper and OddsShopper Golf, have a great week. Let's make some money. We'll talk to you guys soon.